Um, Basically, bullying is the act of putting someone down and making them feel bad about themselves and just being mean.
My definition of bullying is deliberately putting someone else down for your own gain, whatever that might be.
Bullying takes place between either one student and another student, or a group of students and another student, whereby there's mean-spirited negative behavior with the purpose of exerting control over someone who may be more vulnerable or weak, having control over them, and ways in which they try to impact their social standing within the community, or they try to diminish them, they make fun of them, they try to exclude them, and the exclusion can be either deliberate or it can be random exclusions. They can engage in cyberbullying. Purposes is just to be mean and to, I think, really make that other person smaller. Also try to kind of reduce their social standing in the community so that, you know, they would have less friends. The bully may do this on her own. She may get a group of people and tell her friends not to be friends with her, ostracize her, and be mean to her.
It could be simple name calling, it could be physical, it could be emotional, it could be staring at you a certain way, and that just makes you feel down.
My definition of bullying is people who are feeling down themselves, so to make themselves feel better, they pick on somebody that's not, like, hasn't done anything to them because they don't know how to really express themselves. So.
Bullying can be like excluding, it can be physical, it can be mental, it can be verbal. It's various.
Bullying can happen between either boys and girls, but I think mostly, I don't know, it's kind of more common in high school and like the younger grades, I guess.
I think that the majority of kids through pre-K through probably like senior and high schools are bullied. I think anyone can be bullied, and I think everyone usually is bullied. I felt that bullying was a common issue more in grade school than high school because obviously people are more mature in high school, but in grade school people are still figuring out who they are and who they like want to be.
I think it's like grade school kids and middle school kids that are bullied, and high school sometimes.
People of all, social groups, social classes are bullied. Like, I think when you're younger, people tend to bully more, but it continues on throughout adulthood and the workplace, not just when you're in school.
This idea of relational aggression, common among tweens, really, in the female population, has gotten a lot of attention in the past 5 to probably 10 years. Recent statistics have indicated that 30% of teenagers have either reported being a bully or bullied or a bystander, somehow part of the bullying piece. So it's really become a huge social issue, particularly in middle schools, but also we're seeing at the high school level as well.
Bullying isn't really a common issue in my school, but there are some kinds of bullying to an extent. I would say it'd be more bullying as like sending nudes around and like excluding people and like very cliquey kind of. Not really like physical.
I don't really think bullying is common in my high school. I think it was more common in grade school. Yes, I was personally bullied in grade school. So my experience with bullying started in 4th grade. It happened over the internet, and it was on this website called AIM. It's like a little like chat website and like email and all that. But like everyone in the grade had it. You could talk to each other and stuff. And one day, one of the girls from my grade was talking to me, and I guess she got mad about something, and I don't really remember why, but she started calling me all these names and stuff, and I had no idea what was going on. And I didn't really know how to react at that time. And it just got pretty serious from there. And she just called me all these words, these names and stuff, and she was saying, like, can I say it?
Just go for it.
You're a bitch, and all of that, and yeah. It was, like, really serious at the time, I guess, but I did fell in. It's just weird, like, sometimes I would feel like I would have no one to talk to, even though, like, there are so many other people that I could, but it's just, like, something that's hard to talk about. Okay. But there's just other things that happened. Like, even the small little things, they weren't actually, like, that serious, but it was still, like, you knew that they were making fun of you in a way. They judged everyone, no matter who you were. Well, actually, just people who they weren't actually friends with, the people that they considered lower than themselves because they were up to here and everyone else was below them.
Yes, I was bullied in grade school by a lot of boys in my class. I was from 6th to like 8th grade. I was bullied about like if I was on like steroids or something for having a more like muscular physique. And in 6th grade, I was like sexually harassed by them, and I was called like a slut, and they touched my ass, and then they kicked me, and then they'd follow me home, and then they'd think it would be okay to like touch me. So, and then in high school, I wasn't really like bullied. It was more like exclusion a little bit by like North Shore girls thinking that I was from the city, that it would be okay to like just not, like couple girls that they've known for like a while excluded me from events, but that's about it.
I was a lot in grammar school. We moved north and my mom made me transfer, and I was the African American kid, which was already awkward enough. I was kind of weird then, and there were girls that didn't like me, and it wasn't because they didn't like my personality, they didn't like my nationality, which was really hard for me because I had never experienced racism. So it was really big transition. So yeah, I definitely was bullied up until I graduated, and I could not wait to get out of there. Like, it seemed like it would lower down and like I would be okay and think things were getting better, and then they'd talk about me some more and make jokes like, is that your hair? Because we know black people don't wear their real hair. Sometimes it was little things where I could ignore it, but then sometimes it was things where like I literally did not want to come to school ever because I just hated my peers because they made me feel like I was nothing. Even when I was still like surrounded by family and like the people from my old school, I still felt alone because no one else was getting picked on the way I was. So I felt like nobody understood me, like nobody could possibly understand what was happening.
Personally, I was bullied in grade school. So my story, basically, starting in 4th grade, I would be called like fat, chubby, like unathletic, and it just brought me down. It was like you couldn't run away from it because it would follow you home on social media. Towards like 7th and 8th grade, people would like, you would feel like people are talking about you behind your back. And it was like the constant fear of, what is this person going to say about me next? And then bullying on the internet was really popular in my grade. A lot of kids would make up fake accounts or just talk about you. Like, there was a website, Ask FM, where people would just like talk like really bad things about you, and it would just make you feel bad because you didn't know who this person was because it was an anonymous website, and you would just wonder, why won't they just say it to my face?
I was, especially in middle school. I always used to fight with my best friends. It wasn't really bullying from other people. My bullying was people who were friends with me. And I just had a bad group of friends. You know, they would always like stab me in the back. They'd tell my secrets to other people. I just wasn't surrounded by good people.
I know it was in 8th grade. It sort of happened, but it wasn't like consistently. So it was just kind of every now and then. Besides people for always telling me that I should straighten my hair, but that was pretty lame because I like my hair, so.
I didn't want to be a snitch. I didn't speak to an adult.
Probably should have, but I was sort of ashamed of doing that, so I didn't. Things don't bother me like they used to, so it probably wouldn't even bother me, but I would have, you know, spoken to someone about it.
Not at first, because my mom is a little, and she's definitely like mama bear type, so I knew if I told her there'd be some consequences, so I held out until one day, like I just couldn't anymore, and I decided to tell her, and it was definitely big, so, but I'm glad I told, because there was no more of that, and if I knew that I could tell her or tell anyone sooner, I would have done it.
I think I started talking to adults in 4th grade, and then once you hit middle school, that was when it was uncool, or people thought you were the tattletale or immature because you wanted to talk to an adult. So in 6th grade, I kind of stopped talking to like my parents about it. I would come home and they'd say, "How's school?" And I said, "It's going really good." But on the inside, I was like, "It's terrible, and I don't like want to do this anymore." I always turned to my really good friend, Tessa. She would always say, "Don't listen to them. Like, you're perfect. Like, don't worry about like what anyone else says."
I just remember one day, like, that was when she, like, started telling my secrets to people, and I went to tell my sister, and she was best friends with that girl's older sister, so she didn't really help me through it. So I just remember sort of feeling like no one was there for me. And it was a weekend, too, so none of my friends knew, but then they knew later on.
I involve parents if I feel the situation warrants it. And what are the conditions for that? If I feel that it is true bullying and not just kind of random kind of mean-spirited behavior, I will more often than not contact the parents. It's very careful. I'm very careful to make sure that I talk with the student and say, you know, I'd like to talk to your parent a little bit about this too, because I feel the student needs to be supported at home as well as at school. In terms of resolving an issue, I like to think that I'm a safe space for the student. We have a social worker here too. We've had another college counselor. We've got advisors in this community. I do have an open door policy. So, and I really try to reiterate to the girls that I'm not going to do anything without their consent. And I also try to give them different options. There's different options. There's lots of different ways to handle the situation. It doesn't have to be formulaic. We can look at the situation and the student on an individual basis and the bully and try to kind of figure out how can we best manage this. How can the girl feel empowered? Also, how can she feel safe? How can she get through the situation feeling stronger, while also addressing any negative behavior from a disciplinary perspective?
I think people bully others just so they can get like something out of it for themselves, and they think that it's okay to bully someone, and it just puts them at like this just makes them feel better than everyone else, and that they have this total power and that everyone else is weak below them because they won't say anything back to them.
Because they don't feel, I don't know, like secure about their own life, so they feel like they have to be better than someone, so they pick an easier target and then they put them down. Then it sort of makes them feel better.
Every day I'd come home and cry and just feel like I'd like hate myself and my body and think like something was wrong with me. I just feel awful. And I tried to hurt myself one time because of it, because I just didn't want to deal with it anymore.
7th and 8th grade, some kid who I didn't even know would call me names, and that's just like the worst thing, because you think it's true when someone you don't know says it, because when there's someone you don't know, you feel like they are joking, but if it's someone you don't know, it brings you down a lot.
I'd still had some close friends and stuff, so I guess I didn't really totally feel alone in certain, like, I just listened to music and kind of do whatever, and I guess I didn't really feel that alone.
I think people are willing to say things more online than they are in person. Like, you just get a whole new personality when you're online. And so you can say stuff that you would never actually say to someone in person, which is sometimes a good thing, but it can be a bad thing, especially when it's causing bullying.
I think that if you see someone different, like I haven't seen this before, but I know that if I've ever seen someone like on the internet. This is always like what I see in movies, but I feel like if it like on Facebook someone was being harassed, like cyberbullied, like being mean to or calling weird names, I would definitely stand in and help them. Like, don't be like a bystander. Like, cause honestly, like if you just help someone, that can change their whole day. Like it can change, like when one person stands up, you see some person standing up for someone, you like don't like think good of the bully. Like you're so like, you look up to the person who stood up because you're like, wow, like that was so nice of them. Like I wish I could have done that. So just like help someone.
Cyberbullying has really become a problem among teenage girls. We went into advisory, the Dean of Students and I went into advisory this year and talked a little bit about social media and how to use social media effectively, productively, the benefits of social media, as well as talking about the disadvantages. Do I think it's extensive here? No, I don't. Because I think our girls are pretty good at reporting it and sharing it with someone in the community, a trusted advisor, a teacher, the librarian, myself, the Dean of Students. With the cyberbullying, record everything, document everything. If someone's being mean-spirited, keep that information, because then if we need to take that to another level, it's all documented. And I think kids are becoming more and more savvy about being careful what they put out there, because girls are becoming more savvy about saving the evidence. But I do think that it becomes a very safe outlet for people to engage in really harmful, mean-spirited behaviors hiding behind the computer. Things that we talk to the girls about is using social media appropriately, and also about being really careful in terms of your passwords, in terms of privacy settings, and also we've worked with our parents as well, being cognizant of your daughter and her engagement with social media and making sure that they have an awareness in terms of what she's putting out there, in terms of there being family rules, in terms of how to use it appropriately, and also informing the community and girls what cyberbullying is.
So the way that cyberbullying has changed the way that bullying, I think, happens at schools is that no longer do you have kids getting into incidents of disrespect or bullying within school. Quite often I think kids at school, everyone thinks things like they're fine, but as soon as they walk out of the school building, it's not turning off, it's always on there. I think it's really important that parents understand what kids are doing online. I think a lot of parents just think, oh, my daughter's on Facebook, my daughter's on Snapchat, and they don't have any concept of what their kids are sharing online. I think that kids should be sharing their thoughts and feelings online. I think there's a level of appropriateness to this. I really truly believe that privacy settings are possible and they exist. We need to be taking advantage of them. Even if what a student is posting is appropriate, I don't think it should just be for the whole world to see. I think a lot of times kids don't understand that what they are posting, there could be some ramifications later on in life. I don't think that the bullying or the social student actions is that different between an all-girls school and a co-ed school. I came from 2 co-ed schools prior to this. I think what's different about the all-girls school is sometimes it's the little things that I'm noticing the difference of. I don't think you really see girls at Regina ever really get into any altercations. It's usually small social things that they do against each other if they're mad at someone.
The girls, it's a little bit more subtle, the ways in which girls can exclude each other and be mean-spirited, and again, either through social media or through subtle ways in which they try to exclude someone by diminishing her.
I don't think it's more popular for girls. I think we just make it a little bit bigger than it has to be sometimes. Like boys, they tend to squash things a lot faster than girls do. We kind of keep it ongoing. Like she said this to me a long time ago, so I just don't like her. So
boys, it's just more physical. So I'm not sure if the prevalence rate, how different the prevalence rates are. I just know that the bullying takes on a very different feel to it between boys and girls.
I was able to overcome the situation by staying calm, not like yelling and swearing back at her. I told my family members, and they helped me figure it out.
We want to stop the bullying, and so we have to address the behavior of the bully, but with the victim or the targeted girl, we want to help her feel more comfortable, feel more self-confidence, learn some skills on how to manage difficult situations. But sometimes there's also a piece of helping this girl build her self-esteem a little bit, helping her broaden her friendship base so that she's got girls who have her back. You know, if she's feeling kind of isolated, she's got girls, because sometimes there is power in numbers, especially with girls. So if she's got other girls that have her back, she might feel a little bit stronger in terms of being able to deal with the bully. Also, sometimes getting her involved in other activities where she feels good about herself, again, because sometimes these girls take a hit to their self-esteem when they're interacting with someone who's mean-spirited, but also just giving them the conversational tools, okay? So some role-playing and coming up with different ways in which to communicate effectively, standing up to the bully, and also making sure that she has the support of trusted adults in doing so.
I took the advice from my mom to ignore them, and like I decided that I don't need everybody to like me in life, because that's just not how it works anyway. And if you have a certain group of people, or even just that one special friend that like is like your best friend, that's all you need. Like, you don't need a whole bunch of friends to be happy. So I just decided to ignore them because I didn't care anymore what they said.
We talk about it in classes, but we talk about it in the morning sometimes because our school is about like leadership and stuff, and like we talk about social media in the morning, and like they want us to stay, like keep our like social media accounts private and stuff, and like all that.
One of the things I try to do is really as a school, Regina Dominican is committed toward reducing, eradicating bullying, and we do a lot of kind of bullying prevention, either through group guidance or through advisory or through professional development with faculty and staff, and raising the awareness, the collective unconscious among people who work here, particularly the women, to help them understand the subtle ways in which bullying can manifest itself in high school communities, particularly among girls. So there's an educational piece to it.
At Regina, we raise awareness of bullying by making sure we educate students on how to have really positive relationships. I think we're trying to be more proactive than reactive. I think it's also making sure that we're always clear and consistent with our message that behaviors such as bullying are not accepted at Regina, and that we're really working towards a school where everyone can feel safe coming to school each and every day. I also think that we do a good job when there are incidences of maybe not bullying, but just there's some behavior that's not really wanted. I'm working with the students involved and their parents to make sure that we know what's going on and we're all kind of on the same page, that we're working towards a community where everyone feels safe.
Let's see, 8th grade, there was somebody else in my grade who was bullied actually like kind of severely, and this person left the school because of that, so our like 7th and 8th grade classes all had a big like meeting about it.
Mm-hmm. Regina does do a lot here, like leadership clubs. They're helping a friend that's suffering through things because they're feeling like they're not welcome. So it's a lot better at Regina than it was at my grammar school.
In terms of bullying awareness, we are committed to anti-bullying prevention programs, and that has been going in through large group guidance, where we present lessons and facilitate activities, particularly with freshmen and sophomores, about what bullying is and how we manage it as a community and how harmful bullying can be and what it looks like, and really trying to empower girls in terms of their role. Are you a bully? Are you a victim? Are you a bystander? Are you a middle girl? And what that looks like, and also how you need to reach out to a trusted adult, okay, if you're a victim, if you're a bystander, and also just to recognize also that sometimes with these bullies, there's a lot of research that would kind of suggest that bullying is, yes, there's an issue of power and control, but lots of times bullies aren't just these kids who are like insecure and trying to make, they are trying to increase their social standing, but a lot of times these kids are popular and their self-confidence is pretty strong. They're not always just these kids. These kids are well-liked, and maybe at home they might have more, aggressive personality styles, but that's not always the kid that's, has some deep-seated kind of self-esteem issues. Sometimes it's just a girl is popular and wants to be more popular and increase her social standing, and by doing that, it might mean desecrating someone else.
As soon as I get wind of what's going on, I try to investigate it. My first and foremost concern is that the student who feels that they've been bullied is safe and feels that they can come to school. I investigate it by working with the student to see what's kind of going on, what's happening. Oftentimes I try to get my cues off what I'm doing based off of what that student wants. Sometimes kids just want to report an action and want some intervention that maybe is more behind the scenes. Other times kids want to set up like a mediation between the two students. Other times some things have been so severe that we actually have some disciplinary action that follows up an incident of bullying. Reached out by first making the connection with them. Sometimes a friend or someone will recommend or kind of sooner let us know that something is going on. From there I can definitely follow up with that student. Oftentimes I'm not following up with a student alone. My part is that I'm all the time usually dealing with like the discipline aspects of a bullying incident, whereas our student services department and our counseling staff is also sometimes dealing with some of that emotional issues that kids sometimes face. We also have some of our students working with a social worker sometimes to kind of work on some skills that they can use when they're in situations that are of discomfort to them.
From grade school to now, I think there was a lot more awareness in 8th grade what bullying was, because a lot of schools have the suicide talk, and I think that really like brought attention to other kids about like what they're doing to a person, and I think that's really good.
I guess I somewhat experienced it again, but I feel like now in high school I have more confidence of what I can say to someone. Like I feel like I have more confidence to tell them to stop or just like stand up for myself, because I feel like I wasn't really ever able to do that in grade school. I mean, going to an all-girls school, I guess it's both hard and easy, because like, I mean, you're around other girls, you're not in front of guys, but like, I don't know, I guess it still can be difficult. Because if the girls in school are like cliquey and in groups like that, and they gang up on other people, then that will be a problem. But I mean, everyone has their own set of friends, so it's not as bad. I mean, we're all in groups, but we're not like, no one really thinks they're better than the other person or the other group of people as much as it was like that in grade school.
The bullying stopped. I don't know if it's because I came to Regina or not, but then also I think I'm just now more mature, and I know when not to start fights or not, and I also know like what kind of people will be there for me or not.
Bullying lasted me from, as I said, the 4th grade to 8th grade. It stopped once I came to Regina. I was the only girl in my class to come to Regina, and I feel proud to come to Regina because of that.
Like I mean, it might seem bad at the moment, but just think about in the future, you're not even going to remember half the stuff. Talk to classmates first, and definitely talk to the person who's actually doing the bullying. And if that doesn't help within a short time, definitely talk to a teacher or some sort of adult, person at your school.
Like, don't hold it off because you think it's best, because it's not the best thing to do. It's never the best thing to do.
For anyone who's being bullied, I feel like the best advice is just to shake it off, and as like Taylor Swift said, just like shake it off. It's like the most important thing. And I also think that if you talk to someone, it's really beneficial. I also think that if like you make fun of yourself for like your little flaws that you know other people are gonna make fun of, it's gonna be like better for you, because then if someone says something, you'll just be like, and what? I've been making fun of that for years. Like, you're not the first person to say that.
I think as a person, you have to make the stand to make it get better. If you just let it keep affecting you, it's really not going to get better.
Negative people out of your life. Don't be afraid to open up to new people. I don't know. You can go to an adult if you feel like it, but if you're not comfortable with it, don't go to that probably sounds so bad. But if you're not comfortable doing something, I don't feel like you should do it. Just surround yourself with people who you're comfortable with and who are comfortable with you.
The first thing that every bullying victim should know is, 1, they're not alone. 2, they didn't deserve it. 3, that they need to make sure that they're telling someone that this is going on. It's really important that they make people aware, whether it's their parents, their friends. And I also think everyone has a duty that if you see someone getting bullied, you're just as guilty if you don't do something to stop it. I'm not saying you have to jump in and defend the person at that exact moment, but you definitely can be working to make sure that person feels supported, and that you are kind of helping them connect to maybe people that can have a really positive impact on them, so they can kind of lessen those impacts of bullying, and they need to be stopped, because no kid, I've sometimes talked to kids and they believe, oh, I did something to deserve it. No kid's ever doing anything where they shouldn't feel unsafe or unhappy within their school environment or even outside of school.
Definitely tell a trusted adult. Tell a trusted adult. You don't have to go through that yourself, because it can be really difficult for girls. It really can. And it can feel very alienating, and they can feel ostracized by their peers, and like as I said earlier, they can take a hit to their self-esteem. Tell a trusted adult, and that trusted adult will find a counselor in the community and work together to help that girl and to stop the bullying.